video, we're going to talk about making our own smoothies. Making our own smoothies can be lots of fun for kids. I know that this is probably the first thing that my daughter got involved with in terms of being in the kitchen, because I think she was about 1.5 years old, and she loved just pouring the ingredients into the blender. And as she got older and had better hand-eye coordination, she loved pressing the start button on the blender. So this is also a great activity for kids to do. For example, if you're looking for an easy snack to have, a nice healthy and easy snack to make with your kids, or you can even just pre-make them. And these would be great for breakfast, as part of your breakfast as well. The reason I talk about making your own smoothies is that sometimes it could be more time consuming, especially as a breakfast food, but as a snack food, it's actually a really great alternative, because sometimes we also see places where they make smoothies for you. And so one thing I like to talk about there is that typically smoothies that we get from stores can have a lot of added sugar because they have extra juices in them. And today we're using mostly milk and yogurt and fruits to sweeten our smoothie. So typically when you buy smoothies at a store, they could range from anywhere from 50 to 60 grams of sugar in one container, and they could be pretty large containers. So 50 to 60 grams of sugar, which is roughly equivalent to about like 15 sugar cubes. So that's a lot, especially if your child is the only one drinking that beverage. That's a lot of sugars, added sugars that your child consumes. And whereas if you make your own smoothies, you're less likely to add as much juice or sugar or like honey or other sweeteners to the smoothies. And so that typically when you make your own smoothies, the sugar content is around 20 grams of sugar, which is still quite high, but typically depending on the fruits that you choose to put in your smoothies, it tends to be a little bit higher in fiber too. So 20 grams of sugar is probably equivalent to about like 5 sugar cubes compared to like the 15 sugar cubes that you would get from a store-bought smoothie. Right? So let's get started on making. So first, we pour the liquid in first. So typically I would use milk. So you could use cow's milk, coconut milk, like unsweetened coconut milk or unsweetened almond or soy milk. It's totally up to you. And then we would just pour. So depending on how many people you're making it for, if it's about 2 people, I would pour maybe about 500 mils of milk in there. And then we would add the yogurt. So typically for yogurt, I would add about 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup. It's totally up to you. And this is just the plain unsweetened yogurt. So I would add that. All right. Cover that back up. And then I like to add a little bit of an extra source of fiber, which could be oats. I like oats because it's a very economical way to add that extra fiber. You could also buy actual bran and sprinkle it in, or you can get bran buds, like all bran buds, and you can add it in because the liquid will soak up the bran buds and soften it, so you're not actually crunching bran buds in your smoothie. Or some people like to add like flax seeds or chia seeds, but those tend to be quite expensive, so it really is a personal preference whether you want to add those or not. But for me, I usually just take a handful of oats, like raw oats like this. These are quick oats, and then I would just sprinkle them in there. Close that back up. So now that we've added our oats, then we're gonna add the fruit. So first we're gonna add bananas. It's always good to start with the non-frozen fruits first before you put the frozen fruits in. I find that my blender gets stuck sometimes. So I added the 1 banana. And then today for the other fruits, I have some mixed berries and some mangoes. These were all frozen, and it's always definitely cheaper to buy frozen fruits when they're not in season. And so we'll add these in. So about 1/4 to 1/3 cup of the berries, and then around 1/3 cup of the mangoes as well. So just because it's a smoothie, we also have to be mindful of the amount of fruit that we add in as well, because once they're blended, fruits can all have their own natural fruit sugars as well, which are perfectly fine. But we also have to be mindful that typically not many people would eat this much fruit in one sitting. So if you're going to drink it, we also want to be mindful that the portion sizes of the fruits are in a good size as well. All right. Okay. So now that we're done adding the fruits, we can start blending it up. And if you would feel adventurous and would like to add things like avocados, that would be a great addition as well. If you have a food processor, you can add one full avocado and a little bit more frozen fruit, and you can make your own healthy ice cream. And because that consistency won't actually be a scoopable ice cream, but it's thick enough that kids love it, or you can freeze it in your freezer before you eat it. But sometimes it's super delicious to add a full avocado into your food processor or your blender, maybe even some cocoa powder, and make a delicious, we call it like an avocado ice cream. All right, so we're gonna blend this up here. Okay, so this is a great smoothie to enjoy with your kids or just by yourself. Another ingredient that you can also add on top if you're feeling adventurous and want to get that extra bit of vegetables in is to add some spinach in there, some fresh spinach or frozen spinach, whatever you choose. And you can call it like a green smoothie or like a monster smoothie. For some kids, that's like a lot of fun. It's also good to have kids involved in just guessing what color their smoothie will turn into. That's just a great way for them to stay engaged and interactive during your cooking session. So once the smoothie's done, obviously you can pour it into a cup. And a fun little straw that everybody can enjoy. And if you have any leftovers, they're always great to freeze. Or if you just want to make smoothie popsicles in general, you can definitely pick up popsicle molds, whether it be at the dollar store or superstore or Walmart. And then you can just pour them into the molds. And depending on how old your kids are, they can help you with pouring it. And then freeze them, and they make excellent popsicles for the summer or whenever you feel like a popsicle. And you know exactly what went into these popsicles, and you know that it probably has a lot less sugar than ones that you buy in the store. So those are great ways that you can turn smoothies into a drink or a dessert.